Welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast, where we are all about digging deep and discovering the power of emotional resilience. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by my brother, Sean.
As endurance athletes and business owners, we have learned a thing or two about facing and overcoming adversity. We are here to share inspiring stories from our guests that will help you to find that inner strength when you feel like you are running on empty.
Are you ready? Let's dig in.
Welcome back to the Dig Podcast. We're here with Nate Zarlengo today. We're excited. Nate has quite an extensive little profile. Let's see, I'm trying to remember everything. So he's done Kona 3 times, right? Am I right on that? 3?
I've qualified 4 times.
4 as of last week.
Right. And then, but since with the cancellation, Boston with the Kona cancellation. For Boston twice and ran it once.
All right. So he's got an extensive endurance background. Nate, tell us about your family life.
I've got 3 boys, 14, 12, and 8 years old. And they're boys through and through. You can see out my backyard right here. I got to keep an eye on them. We have a trampoline right behind me. And so if you see some like fists or like toy cars being thrown across the yard, that's what that is. Fantastic. I've been married, coming on 20 years since 04. So 20 years next year. So I served an LDS mission, and she waited for me on my mission. So
where'd you go?
Known each other. Sacramento, California.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's right by us. Yeah.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
California. Cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you been in Utah the whole time?
Yeah. Are you from Utah?
I grew up in Colorado and
cool.
went down to Dixie State College when it was Dixie State. And,
it's Utah Tech.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they changed to a 4-year now. And, we were still called the Rebels, which was quite controversial now. Anyways, I went to originally go play baseball down there and just saw the time commitment to do it. I was not a good student, got in a lot of trouble the first couple of weeks at school. And this was, I didn't grow up LDS. And so I got in a little bit of trouble with some alcohol and other stuff, and didn't go so well. And so met my wife Autumn down there just at a party, and she helped straighten me out and help me out get my ducks in a row a little better.
Straighten you out, and you went on a mission. You don't see that too often. That's actually pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's a whole nother story of
do they have does Dixie have the BYU honor code?
No, I don't think so.
Is it just totally different?
I didn't really know what the honor code was back then. So if there was, it was not honored.
St. George is a fun place though. And
love St. George.
Isn't it becoming a bit of a mecca as far as like triathlons and other races go? I mean, I think they've got quite a decent community around there now of folks.
Yeah, it's a great, just because it's so pretty and there's so much to do.
Yeah, sure. I raced Worlds there last year. It was phenomenal.
Tough.
Yeah, it was very tough. I did not do well.
A lot of people favor that marathon as well. It's so downhill of it, St. George.
Yeah, just a standalone marathon.
This marathon was not downhill.
No, that one was not.
So how did you get into what you do now? What is your, what is your career like? And then what is your training like? How'd you get into it?
So career, I construction management. I went to school.
Okay.
I grew up in construction, went to school for construction management. And I worked for a couple large general contractors here in Utah, went to California for a couple years building hospitals in the project management side of it. And then went to Pennsylvania, Arizona, California. And then I changed to another general contractor. And now I work for Kroger or Smith's as a owner's rep
yeah.
for construction.
Okay.
And so I managed remodels and building gas stations and new stores. And in fact, I'll have a new store down in St. George, which will be perfect for training.
Cool.
I can kind of piggyback some training on that.
Sweet. That's cool.
So that's career. Triathlon wise, I started out small, like just like everybody else, just kind of tinkering with the little 5Ks, the 5Ks, 10Ks, and like, oh, let's do a little sprint triathlon with your $200 mountain bike from Walmart.
Yes.
So Autumn and I, we did a local triathlon when we lived in St. George, and we were going to school and just did this little dinky triathlon down there. And I thought I was just the hottest dude on the block. I didn't practice swimming. And so when we all lined up at this pool, and me being super cocky, like, oh, I'm going to line up towards the front, nobody's faster than me. So I line up towards the front in the pool. I get down and back, and I start to go down again. And I can't even breathe. I almost drowned. So I had to grab the lane line, and I was like holding on to it for a few minutes and doggy paddling. And you could just imagine there's 200 people lined up along the deck just watching me.
Get out of the way.
Down the water. Yeah. They're like, oh gosh, this guy. So, I get out and on the bike, you got this huge mountain bike, get passed by this 12-year-old kid on a road bike. You got this huge baggy cycling kit on that is flapping in the wind, and got the mountain bike helmet with the visor flapped up like this,
like a parachute in the front.
And then the run. I can't remember if this was that triathlon or another one where I made a stupid mistake. I racked my bike and go out on the run, and instead of taking a left, and this is something that happens to me quite a bit. I get off course. Instead of taking a left, I took a right, and I went right into the finisher chute. Instead of doing the whole run, I was like, oh, I got to go right. And I ran right down the finisher chute. So everybody's clapping like, yeah, good job. I'm like,
I killed this thing.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I didn't know this is the finish. So I had to run back through the opposite way to finish, to go do the actual run portion of it.
And after that, you're I got this. I could be a pro.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I just slowly went in, did the sprints, did some Olympic distance triathlons. And then in 2012 is when I started getting into the half Ironmans. Is my connection okay still?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2012, I did the Utah half down in Provo when they still had it. And then my first Ironman was 2013 in Coeur d'Alene.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that was, 10 years ago, man, when
they don't do Coeur d'Alene anymore, right?
He just qualified at Coeur d'Alene.
I thought they got rid of it. Oh, okay.
He literally just qualified 950 or something.
Yeah.
I tracked you.
Didn't they get rid of it for a time? Did they bring it back? I thought Coeur d'Alene, I could have swore it got canceled or something, but
there was a half that was canceled, right?
Yeah, they do it on a cycle, like Boulder, Coeur d'Alene, and St. George. I think they're going to rotate those.
Oh, gotcha. That'd be a pretty course, Coeur d'Alene.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's my favorite one. So
that's awesome.
We have somewhat, I mean, not totally similar, but I've kind of the same background, maybe a little worse. I don't know. That's how I got into the Ironman stuff, is I was a raging alcoholic, and I was sitting there watching TV, and the stupid show comes on when I'm like laying on the couch. It's like, welcome to the Ironman World Championship. Literally had a ticket purchased like 3 hours later. So that's, and then it was just game on from there. But so we coach a bunch of athletes for DIG, and I like seeing all of your training. the trainer road stuff, the indoor riding. A lot of my athletes are consistently asking me, you know, what's this versus this? I mean, if someone doesn't have a road bike, I'm going to put them on a gym bike. I try to explain to them, like, riding is riding. Let's figure it out. You know, ignore what everyone else is telling you. So there's that. You're out mountain biking, you're running, you're doing all kinds of things. And in an Ironman, you don't have to do 3-hour workouts 6 times a day. It can be a 40-minute interval session on Trainer Road. It can be this, it can be that. But you seem to have a really good grip on the consistency portion. Just period. You just go and you do it, and you coach yourself, correct, Nate?
Yeah. I mean, I consider Trainer Road a coach, because I mean, their plans are so personalized, and how they adjust and adapts. I mean, I consider them an online coach, but other than that, running and swimming, I think it's maybe because I'm too cheap.
And you know what? This is what I tell everyone: whatever works for you. Everyone's different. So I want to hear, in the middle of all this consistency, like, there's no way you don't have down days. There's no ways you don't wake up and not want to run. There's got to be days where you're just, you know what I mean, a little bit pushed over the limit. And I want to talk about how you deal with that stuff. It can be anything. It could be the taper stuff. It can be, you know what I mean, the whole shebang that we all talk about, how you handle it. And then maybe what are some of your bigger challenges? Have you ever dealt with injuries? Have you ever dealt with things that really set you back? And what did that look like for you?
You know, and I've always considered myself a pretty average athlete. But what sets me apart is the consistency portion. 'Cause I feel like the way that I can get better is just doing, even if it's the smallest little thing, day by day, those small things add up to tremendous gains. You know, a 30-minute run every day adds up. You know, you do 30 minutes, that's, you know, maybe 4 miles, you know, 3 to 4 miles for some, you know, that adds up 20, 25, 30 miles a week, you know, depending your range. That's a good week of running, you know, and that takes 30 minutes a day. That's, you know, sitting down and watching, you know, one show, you know, and, but that's where I found my biggest strength as an athlete is just showing up every single day, doing something. It doesn't have to, you don't have to, you know, break the bank every single day. It doesn't have to be these hero workouts, and it doesn't have to be these breakthrough performances every single day. And you don't get those almost, you know, maybe I might have a breakthrough workout once every 2 months where I break through this threshold ceiling that I've been hitting, but those are so rare. Those are not common, and people need to, you know, understand that you make the bigger wins through these small incremental gains where you're continually improving day in and day out.
Like that.
And that, yeah. And so I do have, you know, my bad days are just me showing up. And like you said, before we started recording, was just sometimes just ticking that box and just being like, I don't want to do this 1 hour workout, this 1 hour spent on the bike, and just zone out and just do it and tick that box, even though your mind's not in it and your body's not in it. Even if you have to stop 6-7 times and take a, you know, go take a break for a minute or two, just get it done. You know, it takes it, and that's where the discipline comes over the motivation. You know, motivation might get you to the bike, but the discipline day in and day out is what gets you, you know, showing up every single day.
Sean is my coach, and he'll ask me sometimes, like, how'd it go? I'm just like, got it done.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I mean, that becomes a good feeling some days. Like, even if it was a crappy workout or you felt extra pain or, you know, resistance that day from your body, just an off day, you know, it's still nice to look back on your workouts and know, you know, on the calendar view, at least you made all the deposits, you got it all in, even if it wasn't always pretty. So yeah, well, I can relate to those days. Just, I got it done today.
I mean, 30-minute runs are like a staple in my in my coaching regimen. I mean, just 30 minute, all over and over and over. I think people don't know what to say to that when they see all these 30-minute runs. I'm like, just go jog, man. Just go chill. Don't worry about it. Just 30 minutes. Just get 30 minutes done. And it adds up, over time. I mean, you're in construction, right? You're building all these things. You're following the instructions. You're doing what you need to do. You put things together. There's probably frustrating days where you need to make some modifications, do this, do that. It comes together. Maybe some easy days, hard days. All of a sudden the project's done. Boom, there it is.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you got to start.
Don't see it till you see it. I'm always trying to.
So consistency, small daily wins. I like that. Something I struggle with. I mean, I do it, but it's hard, and I'm curious to hear your feedback. Is you've told us you're a dad. You've got teenage boys. I've got 4 kids. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 4. I'm a business owner. You work in construction. I mean, that right there, being a dad and like in work is a lot. How do you etch out your time? How do you balance your triathlon training? How do you get it in without compromising the other stuff and, balancing it all? What's your experience been doing that? Some days I feel like I do that okay. Other days I feel like I could do better.
Yeah. It is making sacrifices, waking up early sometimes, a lot of times. And then, I am glad I've been able to work from home as well, since 2020. So that has helped a lot. Being able to cut down my commute time by, instead of an hour and a half commute or an hour and a half commute time, sometimes, it's not wasted time. So for me, I know it's a lot individualized for a lot of people, but I'm very purposeful about my time. When my kids are at school during the year, I can fit in, get them out the door. I can get a 30-minute workout in. I have to be ready and purposeful about my time, and planned it where I'm ready. I'm not wasting time. I hate wasting time. I hate wasting, trips. So I make sure that things are ready. I've got water bottles ready. My shoes are ready. My clothes are laid out, and I'm just very purposeful about my time, making sure that it counts.
Yep. That's good. I think I find that mornings work best for me. Also,
I'm great with mornings in the summer. It's not an issue. The issue is I wake up early. I can get up at 4, no problem. It's the preparation beforehand, like water bottles, kit, stuff like that. The second I come back into the room with the stupid little flashlight on my phone to find like a kit that I didn't pull out or whatever, that's, Megan wakes up and she's just, it's the waking up's not the problem. It's doing it the night before of getting things prepared. I'm good with the longer rides, but on the middle days, I'm not the best. I can definitely be better, but it helps. It helps when you wake up to have everything ready because you're not having to push yourself to, to do extra stuff in the morning.
Yeah. So at what point you said 2012 is like you did your first full, like where I missed the part. We went from embarrassing triathlon, I'm barely hanging on, and I crossed the finish line way too early by accident to I've become I'm qualifying for Boston and Kona and all this stuff. So at what point did we transition to I'm going to be I'm becoming a serious contender? When did that click, or when did that happen?
2012 or 13, my Coeur d'Alene, my first Ironman, I finished in 11 hours, 19 minutes. Oh. I was just I just wanted to finish, just have fun. I did it with my brother-in-law, and we had no goals. Just, hey, let's get through this together. 11 hours, 19 minutes, what it was. And then I ended up doing Boulder in 2015. And then when I did Boulder in 2015, I came in, I think I was like 10th place in my age group. And I think I did 10, I want to say like 10:30. Okay. And that was good enough for 10th. And then the Kona roll down went to like 6th place. And I was like, oh, and I had no idea I was even that close. Like it wasn't even on my radar. And I was like, wow. And I looked at the times. I was like, oh, that's only about a 10 hour, you know, it was 10 hours was about the 5th or 6th place guy. And I was like,
started becoming a mathematician really quick.
Yeah. I was like, I could definitely, and my run sucked, you know, for what I'm at now. You know, I think I did like a 4 hour and 20-minute marathon that year. So I was like, well, if I want to improve my run, let's improve my run. Let's try and Boston qualify. So I got on the Boston qualifying train, to try and, you know, do just run specific, run focus. That's all I did for, I think, a year and a half. Ended up missing Boston my first attempt. I missed it by 25 seconds.
Hey, we're twins.
That's Sean. Yeah,
that was me. 25 seconds on the dot. Missed it. I was not happy.
And I blacked out at the finish line.
Oh, dang.
And my son and my wife were standing at the finish line, and I just dropped, like blacked out. I had to get carried by the medics.
That's like, the best.
And that feels a lot better when that happens after you hit your goal, not hitting your goal.
And I didn't know. I was like, I was like, did I finish? They're like, yeah, you finished. I was like, what was my time? They're like, yeah, you missed it by 20 seconds.
You got to do it again.
Yeah. I almost threw my shoes out the car window on the ride home. I was like, I had them hanging out the window, ready to drop them. So,
were you riding and swimming at all during this training block?
Not really. I mean, I was still kind of maintaining, but nothing crazy. It was
cool.
Just maintenance. I gotta get better at running. Cause that was where the time was.
Okay.
And I didn't really have an idea that I was that good of a cyclist yet. I had started Trainer Road a little bit.
Yeah.
I started with them in 2013. I also did Logan to Jackson, which was a 210 mile bike ride.
Yeah.
So training, I did that as well. But I did another Boston qualifying race, I think a couple months later, and ended up just smashing it. Like, I think like by 8 or 10 minutes, I was able to qualify.
Right. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got the Boston qualifying check mark out of the way, went and did Boston. It was the year that it was super cold, super rainy. Was it 18, 17 or 18? I can't remember which year. I should know that better.
Okay. And
then came back and I was like, okay, I'm going all in for the spot, for this Kona qualifying spot. So 18, trained really hard, and then went back to Boulder in 2019 and did great. I placed fifth place in my age group. There were 3 spots, and 2 people didn't take it.
There you go.
So I got the roll down, and man, it was like, I was elated, and
right.
I started crying. My wife has a video of me just grabbing it and just crying like a little child that I got it.
Those are long goals. Those goals are not easy to hit.
No.
That's why it's so addicting. That's what I was telling, I always tell my family, I'm like, it's just like, it's hard to explain. It's just there in front of you and you have to do so much work to get it. It's not an overnight thing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I mean, it took, from 2015 to 2019, it's, and I got with, Trainer Road and with my running, it's just started really nailing down, honing in some of what my potential could actually be. And, not in 2019, when I went to Kona, felt great. But honestly, not until 2020, did I really, when I went to Kona, I really felt like I got out of the imposter syndrome for myself. I never felt like I was good enough to be up with those elite age groupers or the good crowd. And, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself that I could do that. And I just felt like an imposter. And I know a lot of your listeners might go through that. And I still talk to people on Instagram, weekly, about them just having struggles with the imposter syndrome. And it's real.
Very real. It's very real.
So I didn't get over that until, after Kona. Even after I qualified for Kona and did Kona, I still did. When I went to Kona, I was like, I am not supposed to be here. I'm not this good. and then I had a lot of reflection afterwards, and, just going back to being grateful for what I've been given for myself, my abilities. I stopped comparing myself to others, and I really figured out what my capabilities are and what my best is, of how I can give my best to myself, nobody else. I don't care how you're doing, and I'm not out here saying I'm the best, I'm the fastest or the best. That is not, and I know I'm not, and I'm not here to do that. I'm here to show my best to myself and to my family and my kids. And that's what matters.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that drives me to be better every single day is, what is my best? Am I being honest with myself and giving what I can to myself?
And interestingly, when you compare it against your own self and you're giving your best, that's usually when you perform your best, and that's usually when you perform best against other people anyway. I find that the less you compare yourself to others, and the more you focus on just self-improvement, like what you mentioned, I think that usually turns out best for competing against other people anyway. So,
yeah. Some of my best races that are not phenomenal by any means, they were great for me, were when I was like, I had a goal, I wanted to do this. I didn't open up Strava for 3 months straight. I just went, trained, followed the plan. I checked every single box, and I literally didn't really care that much when I got to the race. I was so prepared. It just ended up being the greatest race ever because I wasn't trying to overthink or do things. And I definitely was not comparing myself to others. And it was by far one of the best races I've had. It was phenomenal. It was a very good lesson learned, that's for sure, because it's funny because you could translate this into the social media world. Well, if you want to come back into the endurance world, you could definitely catch yourself comparing your everything to everyone just in a little app like Strava. It's just like, it's funny, but I love what you say about comparing yourself, because everyone's doing their own thing in the end. They really are, Yep.
Yeah.
What are your upcoming goals now? Like, what are you working toward now? Like, did
you take the slot?
I did not. No.
You took
because it's in,
for FYI, last 2 weekends ago at Coeur d'Alene, second, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Second.
Wow.
Right. I know. 950.
Wow.
So no, and it's in Nice, France this year, which it's just not in the cards to go. Especially with it being, we got my 20-year anniversary coming up next year. So my plan is to go to Kona next year. But one of the cooler things, I'm trying to possibly go to Kona with a blind athlete and guide a blind athlete. I guided him at Sacramento last year, which
I want to do that so bad.
You guided a blind athlete through what?
Have you seen
the Ironman?
What is it? Is it Kyle P's found it? What is the guy that they push? It's you talk about having
you
fun.
Guided a blind man through an entire Ironman.
He wants to.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
No,
you said he did.
I did in Sacramento, the Ironman Sacramento. I did it last year. If you look at my pinned reels, I think it's one of my top pinned posts.
I think I have seen it actually. Now that I remember.
And the guy was it decently, or just trying to get through? Obviously it's impressive either way.
Yes.
I'm just curious. Like, was this guy had been training for it, trying to go fast, or was just, hey, let's just do this and make it happen, kind of a thing?
Yeah, we took first in the physically challenged division.
Wow.
Adrian Broca is his name. Adrian Broca. And he has legit qualified for Boston like 7 or 8 times, just outright, like without, not even in like the physically challenged division. He's a legit amazing athlete himself.
Wow.
And I don't know what his disease is, but it's been degenerative over the last, I think, 5 or 10 years, where it's just gotten a little bit worse each year. And he says it's like looking through wax paper. And it's, he has a little bit of central vision. But as it gets dark, it gets extremely difficult for him. So so the swim, we tethered, had a tether around my waist, and then one on my leg, and then he had it same, and it was about a 6 or 8 foot cord. So didn't get tangled up, but of course it did. And of course people swam through it.
Right through you.
And then we did the tandem bike, and then tethered together just with a rope on the run. And
I'm already scared enough as it is to get in open water, being able to see.
I'm going to suck him.
I promise. I can't even imagine. Like, wow, that's impressive.
It was
that's
terrifying to know how, just because his trust, the level of trust that he had in me was terrifying. Like it's basically here's my life.
Yeah,
guide me around.
I get nervous enough when my wife is relying on me to, like, she's following me to get home from somewhere or like back from vacation. I think about just for like a 10 minutes trying to show her how to get somewhere. I can't imagine 9 to 10 hours that someone's relying on me to that is a lot of trust.
That's so cool though.
That's awesome.
So does it take a little bit longer does that, what does that look like time wise to do that with someone else?
We did, I don't want to say it's like 12.
Wow.
I think 12, 15 or something. 12, 20.
That's impressive.
Somewhere in there.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was an interesting day. Very, very, very difficult, but the most rewarding race that I've ever done. Most memorable and most rewarding. So my goal is to go to Kona with him. We're trying to go to Kona together.
How does that work for Kona? Like, do you both have to qualify together? Does he just get a slot? How does that work?
It's they consider it an exhibition division. So it's actually, I think it's a lottery system. And
okay. Yeah.
But I think if you have some sponsors backing you, they tend to like that a little more. So I don't think it'll be a problem with us getting in.
So are you going to just do like every other year now when it's not Nice and it's Kona? Is that pretty much what that's the vibe that's being put out there right now. That's for sure. Right. Cause slots are rolling down to, I can't even count the number at this point, but then I'm assuming next year the slots will not roll down to 30 or 40.
Well, there was 21 unclaimed spots at Coeur d'Alene.
That's crazy. That's just unheard of.
Yeah, they just said any male that finished wants to go to Nice. Here.
I was explaining to you I guess that gives me an extra year. Then, I just need Kona once. So St. George, although it counts, it doesn't count. I need Kona. Yeah, and you can get there, man. It's definitely reachable now. And I think with the advent
I'm just working toward Boston. Sean's he's done a lot of triathlons. I've only done a half, but I'm working on qualifying for Boston. I got a really bad sports hernia about a year and a half ago. It's the freaking worst thing ever. Apparently 30% or so of athletes don't return to sport with it. So we're figuring it out. I've run marathons. I've done half Ironman. I've done a lot of half marathons. I did with the sports hernia with Sean coaching. I did hour 29 last year, which for me was really good.
Yeah,
so seeing if I can replicate or go take it further still with the sports. Sports hernia is basically, what I'm learning is that it's not like it's ever really cured at this point. You can only ever maintain it, which is not fun, but we're just trying to push the fitness mainly on the bike. And then I'm becoming such a fast bike cyclist now. I might just have to go back to triathlons here soon. But anyway, we're doing like 4s and 2s, 4 on bike, 2 days running right now, and just trying to qualify for Boston. So that's what we're working on. But
you got it.
That's a great start. I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
That's a great little addition to today's chat. Happy to hear that. So to all your followers, anyone else that you chat with or train with or whatever, what would you say at this point is the most important thing to remember when those challenges hit you? Bad days, injuries, whatever it is.
you got to find, I know it sounds cliche, but you got to find your why. Why do you do this? For me, it's my kids and showing them the example that hard work pays off. And it does take relentless hard work sometimes. I mean, there's hours and hours and hours on that bike downstairs and running by yourself. Nobody's watching. You know, you got a 4-hour ride on the trainer. It is boring and it's frustrating where you're only seeing, you know, a slight increase. So just showing up every single day and just be relentless in your pursuit and finding a why, you know, your real purpose. And that, for me, that's my kids and my family. And, you know, showing them that you can achieve extremely hard and difficult goals with a lot of hard work.
Those examples will pay huge dividends down the road, because your kids are always going to remember you jumping on the trainer over and over and over and over and over, to the point of where they're going to want to do it, or they're going to know that dad just does things. He gets them done. And that just drips into everything, drips into all of life. I've seen that personally. I could not agree more.
Yeah. So you're working toward Kona next year. And I guess in closing, you know, you talked about being relentless. You talked about small little wins. You talked about your why. So beyond Ironman, how have you seen that translate into your life? I guess, how have you seen that? You're trying to set that example for your kids. How have you seen triathlon impact you in your professional life and your married life, and just, you know, in your life in general? I'm sure it has, like it does for most, but I'm just curious how that translates also beyond just, you know, Ironman for you.
Yeah, it helps you develop discipline and strength in throughout your entire life. And it helps really develop a mentality of strength. When hard things come, you can withstand, you know, these grueling physical tasks and mental tasks of, you know, sitting on a trainer or doing a 9-10 hour, you know, up to 17-hour race. So it helps develop a lot of mental fortitude, not just the physical side, but the discipline carries over into everything you do in your life. Sure. And we're not meant to be comfortable every single day. It's not healthy to be comfortable and have everything easy and handed to us. It's counterproductive. You need challenges, you know, and we have ancestors that went through their own physical challenges that were put upon them involuntarily. You know, nowadays we don't have, you know, a lot of us don't have challenges like they had. I know some people have other physical ailments and whatnot, but putting yourself in situations that are difficult and getting through those is a good way to strengthen yourself no matter what.
That's good.
Love that.
And I'm sure that as you look back from the first triathlon where you're hanging on to the divider in the pool, looking to now, I mean, it's kind of fun now to look back and say that's where you started and see where you're at now. Well, that's awesome. I know I, for one, hope to, you know, I'm 36, about to be 37, and I hope that I can continue to, you know, hit new strides like what you've done. So certainly an inspiration to people who think they still got it like me. So appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, Nate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Thanks.